You ever been to West Virginia?
Yep, first time.
Hang down your head now, what have you done? Hang down your head and cry.
We worked 2 other cases here. We had one in Taylor County where she has already pled and that case is already done. We're having pretty good luck here.
Good.
This new case happened Labor Day of 2015.
So it's less than 2 years.
Yeah,
We haven't worked a case this fresh since we left the DA's office.
it's been a long time.
Yeah.
We're in Jefferson County, West Virginia, and I brought back one of the members of my team, Johnny Bonds. Johnny's got a really strong personality, but he can relate to anyone, which makes him one of the best interviewers I have ever seen. We're going to need every bit of his expertise to investigate the missing person case of Morton Egeltinger. Morton was 56 years old when he went missing. He was from Norway. He's a professional photographer, and from what everybody says, a pretty good one. Morton lived on his farm with his ex-girlfriend Gail and her mother Desiree. On September the 9th, 2015, Morton was scheduled to work a photo shoot, but he never showed up. His truck was later discovered abandoned along the side of the road, and he hasn't been seen or heard from since. Police are left with the unanswered question, is Morton missing or was Morton murdered? The most interesting thing about this case is that you have a mother and a daughter who are suspects.
But the problem with family members is it's very difficult to get them to turn on each other.
Have you ever worked a case before where both of your main suspects are women?
Can't say that I have.
You gonna treat them differently?
I usually don't come down hard on a woman right away.
It doesn't take you too long.
With these 2 women at the center of this case, we're going to need them to open up. In my 41 years as a police officer, I've interrogated everyone from soccer moms to psychopaths, and most of the time I can get them to talk to me. Kelly says that people talk to me because they think I'm a big, dumb country boy.
It has advantages being a newer case, and also sometimes it has disadvantages. 15, 20 years later, people will talk about what they did, where initially they're afraid to say anything.
That is true. Cold cases with no body are the toughest ones to solve, but since this is a more recent case, we're excited to take it on because we have well-preserved DNA evidence and cell phone data that could help solve the mystery of what happened to Morton.
It's hard to prove a murder case when you don't know how someone was killed, where they were killed, or even if they were killed. We got a lot to do this week.
It has been 16 years and still no answer.
Police consider her killing a cold case.
Years later, the case is still unsolved.
I've chosen cold cases from across the country and teamed up with the best detectives to solve them. We're more determined than ever to bring justice to these victims. You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Pete Doherty.
Nice to meet you,
the
sir.
sheriff.
Mr. Bonds, how you doing, sir?
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Scott Demery. Scott.
We're very appreciative of you coming to see what you can do to help us.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Born and raised in Jefferson County, we're a small department, which is 2 investigators, so to have a fresh set of eyes come in with the experience and knowledge that they have is just great.
Well, let's start with putting Morton up on the board.
Morton Egeltinger is from Norway, but had lived here many years. Everyone we talked to said he was really dependable, honest, one of the hardest working photographers.
Sounds like he was like a brilliant photographer, no?
Yeah. Morton felt very passionate about his work, and he felt that it was more than just taking pictures. He felt like it was an art form, and he cared deeply for it. Morton lived on a 20-acre farm with his on and off again girlfriend, Gail Livingstone. They had different bedrooms. At the time of his disappearance, I don't think either one considered themselves to be dating or together, but she was able to live there. I think in order to allow Gail to work her farming business.
Start telling us all about your case and walk us through it.
So on September 8th, Morton did a shoot at a high school. He leaves the shoot and was supposed to come back on September 9th. He never showed up for work that day, which is very unusual. That night, Gail contacts 911.
Jefferson County 911. Can I speak to a police officer? I think we have a missing person case.
So we went and just do some follow-up questions with Gail at the house. According to Gail, on the 8th, he got home about 9. They have a conversation, just small talk. He goes to bed. She says, when I woke up in the morning, he was already gone. Mama, Gail's mother, Desiree, was living at the house at the time, and she said she heard him get up between 5 and 6 a.m. and leave, and here's a truck leave, but no one actually went out and saw him in the morning. On the 14th of September, we got a call from a subject that was along the river and wanted to report a car there and confirm that it was Morton's truck. No keys, unlocked, windows down.
We had local fire departments, cadaver dogs, helicopters. The river was searched thoroughly.
Since Morton's body has never been found, investigators haven't been able to determine if foul play was involved or if he simply left. Let's come up with all the arguments to support the idea that he's gone missing. No body.
His relationship with Gail was over and no longer wanted to be with her.
You know, he's not from this country. If he's done with Gail, there's nothing really keeping him here. He could go anywhere he wanted to. He had the money to run away.
There's been no activity on his account.
But there's some rumor that he may have had other money we don't know about.
Mama living at the house?
Yeah, that's a good one. Dislikes Desiree. Not only did Morton have the stress of a strained relationship with Gail, he was dealing with constant personality clashes with her mother. I mean, you look at these circumstances, it's possible that he decided he just couldn't take it anymore and he left. Give me all the points that make you think Gail had something to do with what happened to Morton.
She has motive.
What is it?
Wants Mama to live with her.
We know in the weeks leading up to his disappearance that tension was growing between Morton and Gail based on a series of text messages recovered from Gail's cell phone. He wants her gone.
Oh, yeah.
That's clear.
I think she wants the farm in general.
She don't want to lose the farm.
On the 11th, Gail files that formal police report. Almost immediately following meeting with Deputy Hess, she purchases cleaning supplies. Now, I thought the upholstery cleaner and the brushes were big.
Yeah, that was, to me, was the two big things.
Another thing that was interesting, we found Morton's camera bag in the barn when we did our search there.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, the couch cushions and a pair of jeans, they were found inside the washing machine.
Mm-hmm. Had been washed.
Mm-hmm. And they found some suspicious-looking stains.
The stains on the couch cushion covers and Gail's jeans were tested before and came back positive for blood. With this being a missing persons case, it took a while to come back with a DNA profile for Morton. But now that police have it, the items were sent out for retesting to see if the stains are Morton's blood, and we'll have the results this week.
Now let's do
Desiree.
Motive.
A strained relationship with Morton.
Can we break that down any more?
Being evicted.
According to Gail, when we talked to her, she had planned to move her back to New York City.
Gail was supposed to move Desiree out of the house.
Correct.
And she didn't.
No.
How about when you show up to try and talk to Desiree?
Didn't seem like Desiree wanted to discuss anything with us. She seemed very detached from the conversation with her body language and answers.
This case is challenging because the hostility between Morton and the two suspects could have been the reason he left, or it could be the motive for his murder. Hopefully, because this case is just a year and a half old, everything is going to be fresh in the minds of the witnesses. And maybe we'll get a little lucky with cell phone records or DNA testing and get to the reason behind the disappearance of Morton Egeltinger. Talk to Annalise.
I met her. Yeah.
Oh, you met Morton's sister?
Yeah, she came down and we did like a press release where she asked the public for help.
Like a foreign language, you're talking to her about the system, right?
Right, but the pain's always the same.
The rains fall harder, everything stops. Slowly come together, all the lines that you've crossed.
From my experience working with families from other countries, they don't usually understand the investigative process in America. Hello? And being so many miles away leaves them feeling helpless and wishing they could do more. I bet you're excited to see Steve.
Yes, I have been very excited to see Steve.
Tell us about Morton.
Well, he was a very independent person. He had humor and charming. He had a good laughter and a good smile. If you knew Morton, you can't forget him. He cared about people and he liked to live life. The insecurity has been very hard to live with. For 1.5 years, we haven't known exactly what has happened. I miss him. Oh, of course, we didn't have that much contact the 30 last years, but then this strange message came on his Facebook, and it stood, "What a mess I am in." And of course, after he disappeared, I'm thinking quite a lot of that, because maybe I could help him.
I think that's a normal way to feel. Since this case is so fresh, Morton's family hasn't really had the time to come to terms with his disappearance. No matter what we find out this week, whether he's missing or he was murdered, the results are going to hit him really hard.
I have been pushing and pushing, and it has been a very lonely task.
I know.
This happened in the States. We live in Norway.
Right.
It was really difficult, and I called the foreign ministry, got personal contact at the consulate, but nothing happened.
Your foreign embassy, my foreign embassy, there's not much they can do.
No.
It's all up to the sheriff's department,
Yes,
and Steve's worked this case very hard.
Yeah, I know that.
We know that Steve has worked very hard in this case.
I know.
And we appreciate it. But the important for us is to find Morton.
Yes.
Where is Morton?
And why did this happen?
We're trying to get all those answers for you.
Thank you.
So right here starts Cattail Run Road. Gail's property runs down this road and up and around.
We're on the way to the farm where Morton Egeltinger lived with Gail and Desiree, and where he was last seen in September of 2015. It's still a mystery whether Morton voluntarily left or was murdered, but if he was murdered, we need to discuss possible scenarios.
So this is the driveway to the house.
Yep.
And you think Gail and Desiree are both still living here?
Yeah, I have no reason not to think that.
Okay.
Morton is still legally missing, which means Desiree and Gail can stay on the farm. But we also have to investigate the possibility that Morton met with foul play. In order to avoid tipping off the suspect, we're going to park across the street and discuss different theories about what might have happened if Morton was murdered.
We really don't have a crime scene. We don't know if he's killed in the house, in the yard, or what. We don't know if he's shot, stabbed, knocked in the head. Unless somebody confesses, we'll never know exactly how it was killed, or unless we find the body.
It makes sense that if Morton was murdered, it happened on the farm. But where his body may be dumped is still unclear. We want to examine where Morton's truck was found, less than 2 miles from the farm.
Not dumping a body along this route, though.
There's no place to hide it.
No.
He would have been found by now.
He'd been found.
Yeah.
This is just a truck we pulled out here just to give you an idea. This isn't the same truck.
Police were initially notified about Morton's abandoned truck when a witness called it in on September the 14th, 5 days after he went missing. When they interviewed local residents, one of them claimed to have seen the vehicle as early as September the 10th.
When we arrived, the truck was parked almost exactly like it is now. The window was open. It didn't appear to be ransacked.
Looked normal, except for the keys not being in it.
Yeah, there was no keys.
And you swabbed the truck,
We did swabs of headrest, steering wheel, handles, door handles.
and they didn't come back positive for blood?
No blood.
Okay. And if you found Desiree or Gail's DNA in this truck, it wouldn't matter anyway because they have access to it?
They have access to the truck.
Okay.
Correct. We were running it as a missing person case, and at that point we thought maybe he came here to take early morning shots, and that's when we did the grid search in case he went walking off and got lost or fell down, hurt himself.
We searched the riverbank from up where the campsites are all the way down to the dead end, along with searching in this wooded area behind us here.
In the woods, too?
Yes.
Wow. So dumping the body in the water, what would have happened?
If he was in this part of the river, he would have floated up or been found.
If Morton was murdered, I think it's on the property.
I agree.
And if I was going to kill somebody, I'd want it on my property, where nobody can come digging and nobody can come looking unless I know it or give permission.
Yeah.
Police searched Morton's farm a week and a half after he was reported missing. But since they weren't investigating a murder at that time, they did not search the entire acreage of the farm.
And working off the assumption you're just dumping a truck.
If they drove over here, dumped it, and went back home, they could do it in 10 minutes.
If they drove?
Yeah.
And if they walked?
45.
Common sense would tell us it would be easier if both Gail and Desiree were involved in moving that truck. But it was only like 1.8 miles from the farm to where the truck was dumped. It's entirely possible that whoever dumped that vehicle walked back to the farm.
You never found a cell phone?
Or a laptop.
or the laptop, or him.
Correct.
Okay. Without a body and with Morton's cell phone, keys, and laptop never being found, we can't rule out the possibility that he skipped town. But why would he leave his truck here? On the other hand, if he was murdered, why would the killer leave his truck abandoned just 2 miles from the farm? We've still got a lot of work to do if we're going to figure out what happened.
Let's get out of the cold. My ears are about to break.
I know. So nice and clean out here.
Yeah, this is a nice neighborhood.
In any investigation, you want to learn as much information as you can before you confront your suspects. So we're starting with witnesses from Morton's world, and Lee Ewell is a friend of Morton's who knew him from a bar they both frequented.
He would always drink Pat's Blue Ribbon, just because it was the cheapest beer they had. He thought they were overcharging him, so then he made them give him a line with every one, so he can count how many beers he had and how many they charged him for. That was his way to make sure that if they were overcharging him, he knew exactly how much, you overcharged me.
What's your understanding about his relationship with Gail at the time he went missing?
Contentious, to say the least. He just did not like her, and he just wanted her to be gone. She had got a bunch of credit cards, and he had not given her permission to use his name. But then once he found out, it was already, the cards were maxed out to the limit.
Did he tell you how many credit cards?
It was probably like about 3 cards.
Okay. We knew Morton and Gail were having problems in their relationship, but a dispute over credit cards takes their dysfunction to a whole new level. It's possible that this could have been the breaking point that made Morton want to get Gail out of his life once and for all.
You Danny?
We're going to talk to some of his other drinking buddies to see if they have more to offer. Where'd y'all usually drink?
Long shots. It was always long shots. Mort went up there because that's where he got free wireless. Mort was a thrifty man.
Did we know that yet?
I didn't know that. Did Mort ever discuss any of his personal life with you?
He had some problems with Gail, but those were more just along the lines of bitching.
He was going through a tough time with Gail, I know, because he asked me, he said, it's getting where I can't even live in my own house. Can I sleep on your sofa?
They were still living together, but I think more out of necessity.
What about Gail's mother, Desiree?
I think there was no love lost between Mort and Desiree.
Okay. What did Mort tell you about Desiree?
That she was mean as a rattlesnake.
You said you met Desiree, too.
Yeah, when they came to the distillery.
Did you talk with Desiree at all?
No.
Or Gail that time?
No, I can be charming 5 minutes at a time, so on Saturdays, I'm the guy out front.
Oh, you're doing all right. You've been here about 15. You sound right.
Yeah, but you guys are armed.
Oh.
There's a difference, and she's cute.
Did he ever mention anything about being threatened by anyone?
No. No, because if he had, that would be a memorable conversation. Okay.
When you first heard he was missing, what were your thoughts?
My first thoughts were, I wonder where he went and why he would go.
He had money hidden because he didn't want the government to get it, and apparently he was hiding it overseas in South Africa or something.
I think he had some money saved in Australia that he wasn't going to bring back to the U.S. because then he'd be taxed on it. My hope was that he somehow escaped to Australia.
Mort could be cranky and cantankerous. I can't see him being at the point where someone would kill him.
It seems like some of Morton's friends think it's possible that he just left town.
I think Jimbo was digging you.
I think Jimbo is used to talking to lots of women in bars, don't you?
Yeah.
And if he had money stashed away, maybe he really did just decide to make himself disappear. We've been getting some really good insight into what all was going on in Morton's life around the time he mysteriously disappeared.
Okay, how you doing? I'm Steve Holtz. I think we talked once on the phone, maybe?
Yeah.
Ryan Krankowski worked with Morton on a photo shoot the day before Morton went missing. So we want to see if he remembers anything unusual from that day. How'd you meet Morton?
He was actually the guy who trained me.
What kind of photographer was he?
Wow. I mean, I know he's done stuff at the White House. He's done modeling shoots around the world. I mean, this guy had some serious talent.
Tell us about that last day's shoot.
We shot till 7 or 8 at night.
Y'all walk out together, and the plan is to do what the next day? What time are y'all going to be there?
I think it was around 1 or so.
Okay. Morton was supposed to have gotten to work at 1 p.m. that day, but Desiree claimed that she heard him leave that morning at 5 a.m. The photo shoot was only an hour away from the farm, so it doesn't make any sense that Morton would leave that early. Do you buy the theory that he just went missing?
No. He was just so passionate when it came to photography. Gotcha. And so for him to just walk out and do something like that, like that's definitely not him.
What about the fact that this camera equipment was left in a barn?
And this isn't like a nice shed. This is like a dirt floor type of thing.
That's weird. I put his bag in a corner once, and he barked at me. He was just like, you never let that out of your sight. You never, just watch my Yeah, that he would never do that.
Ryan confirms that Morton treated his equipment like it was his baby, so it doesn't make any sense that he would leave that expensive camera equipment unprotected. So why was it found in his dirty barn, especially if he left for a photo shoot that morning at 5 a.m.? That's good evidence that helps build a case that Morton did not just disappear.
Nice guy.
Oh, no. Oh, I like him.
I grew up on horses. All I associated with was work. I never had figured out how anybody thought that was fun to ride a horse.
That makes two of us.
Chris Jones worked the photo shoot the day Morton did not show up.
Can you sit in our truck?
And he may have something new to add about that day.
In the years you worked with him, was he ever just not show up or call in?
No.
Goof off and be late or anything like that?
No, that was the furthest thing from Morton,
Do you ever talk about his personal life?
Probably the couple of weeks prior to him,
What did he tell you?
He told me that his ex had opened a couple of credit cards in his name and racked up somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000 of credit card debt.
Uh-huh.
He was debating on what to do about that. What if he would have paid the bill, then she would walk. If he doesn't pay the bill, then she was going to go to jail.
So he's debating on whether to pay it or not, either
Get her in trouble.
get her in trouble or get her out of the house.
Right.
In examining Morton's financial records, there's evidence he contacted his credit card companies claiming fraudulent use of his identity. The companies responded with letters saying they'd investigate his claims. Letters police found when they searched Gail's truck.
How you doing?
We're going to talk to one of Morton's closest friends, hoping he can shed some light on Morton's mindset around the time he went missing.
He was acting weird for a couple of months, and then he finally came over one day and he told me about the credit cards and everything. He was kind of at wit's end. He didn't know what was happening. He's like, I don't know what she's going to do. I was like, well, is she crazy enough to burn the barn or something like that? He's like, she's crazy enough to burn the house. He had major problems with her mother that was living there. And he had told me he got into an argument on his way out the door. She was in the kitchen, and she pulled a kitchen knife out on him. Now, did she go at him, or was she just standing there waving it, yelling? I have no idea. And he left. His words were, she pulled a knife on him.
About when did it happen?
I want to say a couple weeks, but I really suck with timing.
Before he disappeared?
Yeah.
At the time that he disappeared, was there any saving grace in that relationship? Could you see them getting any better?
Mother was supposed to be leaving.
And he was thinking that might improve things?
Yes. She was supposed to leave that Monday.
She didn't?
Yeah. That's what I said when I found out. I said, so the mother was supposed to leave on Monday, and Wednesday I get a phone call saying, she's still here and my buddy's missing.
We knew Morton wanted Desiree to move out, and supposedly there were plans for her to move back to New York.
Nice meeting you, sir.
Thanks very much.
But now we're hearing that the deadline for Desiree to leave was the day before Morton disappeared. That's some great information.
We're most excited about the jeans, potentially, and the sofa cushion covers. Sergeant Holt sent the couch cushion covers and a pair of Gail's jeans off to the lab to be tested. If the stains are Morton's blood, we would have physical evidence suggesting he was murdered.
Hey, Cammie, how you doing? This is Sergeant Holt over at Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
Hi, Sergeant Holt.
In this case, because it's only a year and a half old, the evidence collection preservation process was done under modern procedures, which makes me more excited about the potential for DNA evidence coming back helpful than I probably ever have been before.
Hoping you have good information for us.
We did get DNA off of the cuttings from the cushion covers.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we did get fairly complex mixtures of at least 5 people.
Okay, so I think we're done with the cushion cover. Looking at the genes, can you tell whether or not we're talking about blood DNA?
We definitely took cuttings of a blood stain, but we're getting mixtures of 5 people. It's going to be tough to say who was bleeding and who maybe it was just touch DNA. It's going to be really difficult.
Okay, is everybody going to be jumbled up because it's been through a washing machine cycle?
Were the items wet
Yes.
at the time of collection?
Yes, yes. They had been run through at least one cycle, right?
Correct. Once things get wet and there's now a liquid to mix things around, we won't be able to totally eliminate that as a possibility.
Okay. Because Gail washed her stained jeans with the cushion covers and other items, DNA will never be able to prove if the blood found on them belonged to Morton or not. God dang. When a case is only a year and a half old like this one, prosecutors and juries expect to have all this new technology that is successful with your case. So the cell tower records are a whole lot more important, because if that doesn't turn out to be what we're hoping it is, then I'm not sure where the case is going to stand.
So this is downtown, huh?
A lot of historic buildings back here.
I bet.
The DNA results were no help in determining where Martin was murdered, but we're not giving up. We still might catch a break with the cell phone records. But right now it's time to start digging into Gail's world to see what we can learn.
I got someone walking up here. It's probably him. Yeah, he's looking back.
Hey, young man, Johnny Bonds. Nice meeting you. Hop in.
We're going to talk to Adam Rosas, who worked for Gail on the farm, and he may be able to offer some insight into Gail and Martin's relationship.
I worked for her for 3 seasons.
What did you think their relationship was?
She got to where I can't stand it. And then I kind of started thinking, like, maybe she's using this dude, you know?
Yeah.
She told me that she had to make whatever money she could to get her own place and move to another farm, because Morton was like, you don't want to be with me, then
he's going to kick her out.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. Not only was the deadline for Desiree to move out the day before Martin disappeared, but now we're hearing he also wanted Gail to leave. Gail and Desiree both clearly had a motive to get rid of Martin.
I was digging the hole, and Gail was like, we ought to dig one of those, or dig a hole and throw Morton in it, and then my problems would be, you know.
Over with?
Yeah. And, you know, then when he came up missing, I said, holy yeah, because it was like 4 or 5 months after that.
Okay, it's nice meeting you.
I appreciate it. All right, bud.
Adam is a great witness. He has firsthand knowledge of comments directly out of Gail's mouth, and that's extremely important in building a strong circumstantial case.
There's always a little truth in jest.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was on her mind.
Yeah.
We want to try and learn more about Gail's relationship with Morton, so we're going to talk to one of her friends.
I know her from the farmer's market. I quit having anything to do with Gail when Morton just vanished off the face of the earth. I was like, wow, that's too much coincidence.
What were all the coincidences that you put together that you thought were odd?
The way Morton treats Gail really upset Desiree. She was very angry, you could tell.
What made you get that impression that she was angry?
She talked about a relationship she had with somebody, and they were threatening her, and she took a knife and went after him with it or something.
Desiree said that?
Yes. She said, nobody messes with me. And she said I was going to kill him, and he left.
Do you think either one of them could have taken Morton physically?
I could have. Sure.
You could have?
Sure.
How come?
Because I handle animals. I can throw a 350-pound ram on the ground. Would you look at me and think I could do that? No, I work outside. Don't ever mess with a farmer.
That's true.
Ever
I've heard
with
that.
This is why I love talking to women. They have great memories and great intuition. She had suspicions right when she heard about Morton disappearing, and her story about Desiree pulling a knife on a man sounds pretty similar to what Morton told his friends Desiree did to him.
Oh my God. This is why when there's one little name in a police report that doesn't seem like anything, you go see. Ooh, she was a good witness.
Hey, Breck, it's Murray. How are you?
Hi, well, but yourself?
Breck McDaniel is one of the best cell phone data analysts in the country. We asked him to take a look at cell phone records for our two suspects, Gail and Desiree, for the night of Morton's disappearance. These results could make or break the case.
Would you tell everybody what you saw on Desiree's phone records?
She did not have a lot of activities, but her phone did appear to be around her at the farm the evening of the 8th, as well as I believe the early morning hours of the 9th.
Desiree appeared to have been at the farm all night, but that doesn't mean she didn't leave, only that her phone stayed at the farm.
That brings us to Gail Livingstone.
There is activity on Gail's phone, and the location data is consistent with her being at the farm before midnight. However, after midnight, we had two of these NELOs hit, one at 1:38 and 48 seconds a.m., and the second one 20 seconds later at 1:39 and 08 a.m.
A NELOS record, what kind of event is that?
It doesn't always correlate to a text message or a phone call or even a data transaction. The AT&T network is just recording these periodically to try to keep track of the phones and where they are to make sure there's appropriate coverage. There is a range of 5 kilometers, which the network is estimating the phone is located.
Here's the million-dollar question, Breck. Does the farm fall within that 5-kilometer range?
It does not, no, sir.
Now, next plot point is where the truck is found. Is that within the range of the NELOS hit of 5 kilometers?
It is, yes.
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 That's big.
Yes.
That's huge.
Not only does it look like Gail left the farm after midnight on the night Mort went missing, but her phone was in the proximity of where the truck was abandoned.
Yes.
Freaking jackpot. Okay, so Gail and Desiree, you want to go to her house?
So I want to get her separated from Mom.
Okay. The case is building against both of our suspects, Gail Livingstone and her mother, Desiree, for the murder of Morton Egeltinger.
You'd have to knock out both back to back.
Yeah, you're going to do both. They both had motive. Morton wanted both of them off the farm, and now we're armed with the fantastic evidence from the cell phone data.
Gail does not like me one bit. I think if you play it as the sheriff asked you to look into it because it's been a while and you brought people in and Steve don't know what he's doing.
I can play it to Steve's ass.
Yeah, try that.
Y'all ready to roll?
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's time to confront Gail and Desiree to figure out once and for all if they're involved.
Yep.
You know, I always want them to think that I'm a dummy and they can tell me anything.
Hello?
Mrs. Livingston? If I can get somebody to talk to me, I can then keep it rolling and maybe we'll find out something we didn't know. I don't mind if somebody thinks they're smarter than I am. Let them think that. We'll see what happens.
Where are you from?
From Guyana.
Guyana.
Yes.
Morton disappeared
Early in September. What month do you think you moved into this house?
October month, yes.
After he disappeared?
Yes, after he disappeared, right.
Okay.
After, yes, after.
But you did stay here occasionally at
Yes, I used to sleep here when, I'd be here sometime late, working.
Desiree is lying to us. She's denying that she ever lived on the farm before Morton went missing.
You and Morton didn't really care too much for each other.
Yes, you could say that.
Okay.
I would say that. I had nothing against Morty, honestly. I don't know what was the problem, honestly. One day, he get up a morning and he said, he saw me feeding the chickens and the ducks out here. And he come across and he can slap me. Don't feed the chicken and ducks here.
He hit you?
No, he didn't. I had a mug to put a coffee and I tell him, if you only hit me, I would lash you with this. And he turned and walk away. He was coming to hit me.
He told somebody that
I run him with a knife.
Yeah.
That's what the guys them said. I would not do that.
No, it didn't happen. What do you think happened to him? You gotta have some idea.
I say I don't know if he committed suicide. I don't know.
Had he ever talked about killing himself?
I heard him telling Gail that one day, and I walk outside.
Thank you so much for coming out here and talking to us.
No problem.
I appreciate it. It's clear Desiree is trying to separate herself as much as she can from Martin's disappearance. She not only lied about living on the farm, but seems to give the impression that Martin was primarily to blame for the tension between them. Now we want to hear what Gail has to say. I'm going to try to lock Gail in on her movements that night if she left the place. I'm thinking we might not want to hit her with the cell phone information right now. With Gail, the plan is not to get too confrontational. I want to keep her talking, and hopefully she'll give us something we can use. When was the last time you talked to him? Now, he worked on Tuesday.
Right, because I was laying on one couch, and he came in and sat on the other couch.
Was your mom here when he got here?
Yeah, she was in bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything unusual that night?
No, not that I can recall.
On that weekend before, I think he told some people your mom was going to move back to New York. Do you remember that?
No.
And something happened that she couldn't move?
She might have been going to New York, but not moving back to New York.
Not moving back to New York.
Not moving back to New York, no.
Okay. We know from text messages and witnesses that Gail told Martin that she planned to move Desiree back to New York the day before he disappeared. And now, Gail is trying to downplay the importance of that timing, but telling us it's not true. What do you think happened to Martin?
I don't know what to think. But I honestly don't think that he went off of his own fruition. I think that someone did do something to him. I even went to my neighbor next door and pleaded with her to call the sheriff and asked him to start sending out helicopters to look for Morton.
All right, now I got to ask you some hard questions, okay?
Go for it.
There were 3 credit cards, and he told people that you got those without his permission and maxed them out, and he was upset about it.
Okay.
Would that be true or not?
No, absolutely not.
Why would he make that up and tell people that?
I'm not going to say he made it up, but that's his, that's how folks took whatever he said. All those credit cards were applied for together.
Here's an honest man that's got hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank.
Right.
Why would he not want to pay them off? And then he tells other people that you took those cards out without his knowledge.
And I'm saying that's not the case.
Okay. I want to go back to the night he came home. You go to sleep on the couch, he goes to bed. Mm-hmm. When I go to bed at night, I take my cell phone, I put it on the nightstand next to me. Mm-hmm. What do you do with your cell phone?
Either, pretty close to me.
Okay. Did you get up and leave for any reason? Did you leave this property that night?
No.
Okay. Did anybody else leave and take your cell phone with them that night?
My cell phone?
Yes.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. That's good stuff.
Gail is smooth, and she answered all the questions. If you didn't know she was lying, she comes across as very believable. But she denied any wrongdoing with the credit cards, and she lied about having any plans to move her mom back to New York, which could have been the trigger for why Morton was killed. And the fact that she denies her phone ever left the house that night when we know that it did strengthens our case even more.
Hey, way to come through for us, guys.
Oh, you like that, huh?
I can't freaking believe it.
Looking at her board, but what are your thoughts now about the idea that Morton went missing?
He's too responsible, too professional.
He was just too into his photography.
And the camera equipment is sitting in the barn that he needed to go to work the next day.
I put his bag in a corner once, and he was just like, watch my like he would never do that.
With everything we've learned about Morton, he was too passionate about his photography to leave his precious equipment unprotected in a barn, and too professional to not show up for work. And knowing how cheap Morton was, there's no way he would leave the money in those bank accounts untouched and walk away from that farm. There is not one single piece of evidence to support the idea that he is missing.
He's missing because he's dead.
Fortunately, you don't need a body to prove a murder case or to prosecute one. You just need enough evidence. Now we got Gail and her mama Desiree. Does anybody sitting here right now think there's enough evidence against Desiree to try and file charges against her?
I don't see it.
It could very well be that Desiree didn't know what the hell happened to him until the next day when her daughter told her. So she's going to stay in our world until one day we know better which way it really is. Moving on to Gail. You had the letters from 3 different credit card companies where Mort contacted them to say, I didn't take out those cards.
Yeah.
If he would have paid the bill, then she would walk. If he doesn't pay the bill, then she was going to go to jail.
He's telling her, not just get off the farm and quit farming, get out of my life.
She had to make whatever money she could to move to another farm.
You have people that tell you the timing is coming where mom's about to be gone.
The mother was supposed to leave on Monday, and Wednesday I get a phone call saying she's still here and my buddy's missing.
You had the receipt for the cleaning supplies and all those things you had before you ever even heard cell tower records.
Where the truck is found, is that within the range of the Nilos hit?
It is, yes.
And you got her now locked into saying, I never left my house that night. Your circumstances are freaking beautiful.
When you put all these little pieces together and look at the big picture, I think we have a good shot.
It's still unclear the extent, if any, of Desiree's involvement, but there is sufficient evidence to present this case to the DA against Gail.
Someday soon, the pain will cease, and the sun will rise.
How are you? Doing okay? Thanks,
yeah.
How are you doing?
We're excited to tell Annalise and Paul, but it's still bittersweet. The fact that he's never going to come home is a painful reality that this family is now going to have to face.
Had a really good week. We presented the entire case to the prosecutor. The prosecutor was reviewing everything, asking great questions. He decided that there are things that he wants us to check on and follow up on.
Has the prosecutor decided to...
Not yet.
Not yet.
But I'm hoping to be able to present the case to a grand jury.
Based on everything that we found out, Morton's never coming home.
It's a relief, but it's also very emotional. I feel empty. We have to accept that Morten never will come back. It's not a victory, but it's the truth. I will never forget Morten, of course, but I don't have the pressure on doing something all the time.
Let him worry about it.
We'll keep pushing the prosecutor, and we'll keep looking for even more information.
I'm so thankful to you all. Thank you.
I want her to go home to Norway, and I want her to tell her family that the criminal justice system in the United States of America is doing its job to get justice for Morten. For more cold justice, go to oxygen.com.